Not totally tech related, but a super interesting story about how our judgment works, how our memories work. I'm always interested in this kind of thing. Peter's going to tell us about it on this Not So Critical update.
This is something called it pronounce it internally as the Gell Man Amnesia Effect. And in a nutshell, it's the way that we very frequently read through popular media like newspapers, and we come across things which we know are completely incorrect because we have expert knowledge in that particular area, or at least we just have some solid experience that we read a story and it's completely wrong. And often it gets things the wrong way around. This is referred to in the definition as wet streets cause rain. So it gets the cause and effect the wrong way around. Anyway, what happens is that we read these articles and go, oh my God, why are they printing this stuff? This is such nonsense. And then we turn the page, read the next story, as if we still trust this news source. We have instant amnesia.
And worse,
that's crazy.
Not as if we still trust it, but what the study actually showed was that you're more likely to trust the next article. You become less discriminating after reading an article that you know is blatant bullshit.
Yeah,
that's the part to me that's like truly fascinating. I guess I thought like they say self-discipline is kind of a depletable resource, right? Like you exercise it for so long and then it gets harder to exercise it. I thought maybe this kind of like discernment about reality maybe is like getting used up by reading a story that you know is wrong and you're questioning so many things about it. But then when you get to the next story, you just assume like, all right, well, I guess we're just back on track now.
Yeah, that's very crazy.
And the weird thing for me about it is I read it and I was like, oh yeah, I do that. Like I do that. And I consider myself a kind of reasonable skeptic who's always challenging the status quo and pointing out how things are terribly incorrect. And then I just,
So Peter, did you read this article after having read something that got everything about privacy all totally wrong? Is that how you came to this?
I think actually it was related.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So you entered into this very non-discerning, just assume that it's true. All right, I see how it is.
Kind of. Well, that's the thing. I don't really understand why we do this, but it seems related to the fact that it like the example of the wet streets causing rain is kind of pointing out something that is quite easy to confuse if you didn't know anything else except for those two things were happening. Every time it rains, there's wet streets, but also every time there are wet streets, it's raining. So if you assume it the wrong direction, it can still kind of make sense given no other context. And actually, I came across someone, an old lady once. I was visiting a grandparent somewhere, and I was chatting to an old lady, and I don't know why we got onto this, but she was convinced that warmth was the lack of cold. So it wasn't that things were warming up. It was that cold was the sort of the active part of that equation. And I guess I was like, yeah, but... And then I kind of was like, how do I explain this?
In the context of this story, basically what would happen is you would tell me wet streets cause rain, and I would say, no, that's ridiculous. There's no way that's true. You have no idea what you're talking about. And then John would tell me immediately following that heat is the absence of cold, and I'd say, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. If you didn't know anything else about the particular subject, or any physics,
hold on. Wait a minute. I just want to touch back on the old lady.
Yeah.
I think she's onto something. Okay.
See, when you think about it, you're like, well, hang on a second. Maybe,
I don't know how deep you can go into the whole, do things which one dominates the other, I guess is the way to put it.
So
Because, to be honest,
what's your theory here, John? Are you saying that you think heat is the absence of cold? Don't laugh, Peter. I want to hear the argument.
You know, now the more you say it, the scarier it becomes, because you always think about things. You always think about things like heating up, and I guess subconsciously, I've always associated that with heat being the dominant factor.
So you're really taking the cold out of it.
But now you're saying, get away from me, cold. Get out of here.
Jesus Christ.
Take a walk.
Oh my God, what a terrible example I've got.
No, John, I think John's really honest,
Peter. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate the support, like always.
So the other interesting thing they say and talk about in this article is the idea of common knowledge. And they also introduce the term missionary. So missionary is somebody who is popular or famous. Not a religious missionary, although I thought the same thing.
The dominating missionary is what we're talking about here. Yeah.
Somebody who's popular or famous.
Yeah.
And the idea of common knowledge comes in. So common knowledge is something that everybody knows, everybody else thinks is true. So it is apparently not common knowledge that cold is the absence of heat.
Right.
However, what they say in the article is that if a missionary, somebody who is, powerful or popular, makes a claim, a false claim that something is common knowledge, people will accept it as common knowledge and believe it to be true.
Damn.
Yeah. And we see this a lot with the whole anti-vax stuff that's going on at the moment. And I think just Trump, that's a classic example.
Their entire news network's based on it. I can't think of any at the moment, but they're out there.
No, God.
Fox News. OAN.
There's one in the UK now, by the way, called GB News. They started up and they basically have all the Brexiteers on there, and it's just a train wreck. But it's like a Fox News light. It's sort of baby Fox,
I feel like that's how all of Britain is, though. Like, right wingers still totally leftist. They're like, we love healthcare, but like, tax us less,
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Oh, I left this.
I'm back here right now, and I like most things about this country except the politics and the politics I hate. Anyway,
would you say that the politics in England, totally changing the subject, would you say that the politics in England are as inflamed as in America?
No, I'd say they are as fucked up, but not as inflamed.
Yeah.
You have more people and you get more kind of righteous about things, but I think the stuff that goes on here is a bit more sort of sinister. The whole Boris Johnson thing is he plays this affable idiot, but it's really just a cover screen for a poisonous asshole. He uses his kind of like, I'm so stupid, to like get away and become prime minister in the first place, and I hate it. Anyway, moving back to the Gell-Mann Amnesia Effect. Missionary.
I thought we were going to stay on that track.
No,
I was warming up. Put me in, coach.
yeah. Sorry.
No, Gell-Mann.
That's your other podcast, right? Go on now.
Right, I know. I'm waiting.
Not so political update. Yeah.
Not so political update. That's so good. We have to do that.
I don't know if one of you guys said it or what. Yeah, exactly. The Not So Network. That's pretty good, you guys. That's pretty good. Shit, I'm
John's
on
on
something.
Fire.
Excellent.
Where's my notebook? I gotta get this down.
It's all right, man. I'm not gonna let you forget this one. Gell-Mann, the missionaries. Yes. So it's weird because it's so true. It's so true. And you know what? Even I recognize myself being affected by this phenomenon. I struggle sometimes because I hear things from people where I just implicitly trust them. I'm like, oh yeah, that he said that makes sense. When that is exactly the thing that pisses me off about anti-vaxxers, because and everybody on basically the whole of the right wing politics. It infuriates me because I hear them say, oh, vaccines don't have any effect. It's all propaganda.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Okay, so I was talking to my friend about this, and I was complaining about someone I know who's an anti-vaxxer. Otherwise, totally solid guy, really love him, really cool. It's like a real difficult to deal with because I really like him, and it was like the first time I've come across someone who I really like, who isn't a total idiot, but also doesn't believe in vaccines.
Hard to reconcile.
Yeah, very, very difficult. So I was talking to my friend about this, and he said, "Yeah, hey, do you remember this guy back in Prague? He's one as well." And I was like, "What? No, wait, that guy." And apparently, I was like, "So how do you deal with it?" And he's, "Well, I tried to talk to him and say to him, hey, listen to the experts." And his response was, "I listen to different experts." I think that's it. Like, and that's kind of a fair point. If that's all it is I listen to it. Because I could say, well, I'm listening to experts, trusted medical people. And he can say, well, so am I. They're just people I trust. It, you know.
Yeah, there's a, I mean, this is not new. It happens, and I mean, this is a lot of what marketing is, right? Establishing credibility and making claims.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to do it. So like by hosting this podcast with you two, I get privacy credibility. Extremely misplaced.
Very much.
Nobody should take privacy advice from me. No, it's fine. Just sign up. It's fine. Social proof. If all three of us are saying the same thing, people are more likely to believe it's true. If Peter says something because he's got expert credibility, that adds weight to it. So these are not new concepts. It's just maybe we're probably in a time where it has been somewhat perfected, particularly in the news media and politics, to take advantage of these quirks of the human mind.
It's such a complicated, like, I always think to myself, why do people do that? And I guess it's money and power, right? They like to have power over other people and think that they're right and have the adoration of the masses, and money so they can buy things that they want. So it's sort of ultimately quite simple. But
I mean, they're probably prone to the same things themselves. They probably think they are right. I mean, I don't know. There are definitely cynical people out there who know they're lying, who are just saying what they need to say. I mean, I always, they say with like projection is assuming that asserting what you believe about other people. And I heard somebody talk about how one problem with projection is if you're a reasonable person, you want to assume that other people are reasonable, but they're not in a lot of cases. So it's kind of a trap there too.
Yeah, I have that kind of dying hope, that a dying belief that we, as a species, we won't actually ever die out. Another story I read this week, which I didn't post in a chat or put on the links, was we should stop being pessimists. I think was roughly the gist of the story.
Yeah, we'd never.
Like, there's been that. Oh, that's right. There's a website. There's a website called like pessimist something, and it's basically what it does is it takes. Do you know what? I didn't catch that earlier attempt at a joke. Well done.
Don't worry, I'll keep going.
Yeah, I know. Okay. But anyway, it was a site that took stories from the media from like different periods in history where there had been different kind of like outrages and crazy shit going on, and like plagues and horrible events, wars and all sorts, and everybody was claiming this is going to be the end of society, and it never really is. We always kind of get through it somehow, you know?
It feels like it could be sometimes. All right. Well, so
yeah.
Look, everybody knows that this is the best privacy and security related show on YouTube.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So just, subscribe and we'll all be happy. Like, everybody should check out the show.
Just tell all your friends
just keep asserting that. Every time we get together, just be like, hey, look, everybody knows that this is the most popular show.
Yeah. ...
Don't say it's the best show.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we could hide our subscriber numbers. No, we could be the best show, the most popular show. Nobody would know it.
Well, we
just don't look at the view count, I guess. I don't know. We're getting there. It'll be fine. All right, let's go.